patients are more engaged, more empowered than ever before. What we're doing is pretty different from a biotech company. A biotech company has its own set of constraints and requirements. We are newcomers to the medical research space. Because we build this direct relationship with patients, patients give us the authorization. The trend that I'm most excited about is kind of the fundamental thesis that we're working on here, which is the empowered patient.
Hello and welcome to Industry Voice. Today, we will be talking about the importance of helping patients find and gain access to clinical trials. Our guest today is the CEO of a platform that allows easy access to every currently available clinical trials in the United States for patients around the globe. Please meet the CEO and co-founder of EmPOWER, Brendan Lee.
Hi, Brendan. It's a pleasure to have you. We are very excited for this interview. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Anna.
So how does EmPOWER help trials to enroll patients and vice versa, help patients to find suitable trials?
It's a pretty simple philosophy. So what we've done is basically built the most patient-centric platform for helping real people go and learn about medical research as an option. And you'd be surprised how many patients are out there actually just trying to help themselves and doing their own research. So what we've done is we built this platform and allowed patients essentially to go direct to the clinical trial system, which they haven't been able to do before. The results have been amazing. So last year we had over 300,000 patients use the platform to go looking for a clinical trial. So then to answer your question more directly, how do we help patients enroll? Well, we have all these patients using the platform looking for a clinical trial. Then we partner with the industry, life science and research, in order to help their trial sites connect with these patients directly on our platform.
So what is your key idea of modernizing accessibility of clinical trials for patients?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to this idea of the empowered patient. I think patients are more engaged, more empowered than ever before, and are increasingly going direct and trying to learn about the latest innovation that could potentially help them, especially when they're in a scary situation and they need help with their health. So the kind of key idea here is if you put power into the hands of patients who are interested in participating in research, you'll increase intent, you'll increase success rate, you'll increase screening visit, participation rates, and all the key metrics you'd want to see down the funnel will improve as well. And we're starting to see that on the platform as well. So across a lot of the key funnel metrics, we're seeing between 3 and 10x higher than industry norms when you look at your standard patient referral for a clinical trial.
And what markets and regions does your platform cover?
Yeah, so right now we're all across North America. So the US and Canada currently.
And where do you get the data on the trials and patients? Who are your data suppliers?
We don't really think about it that way specifically. So on the patient side, patients are our data suppliers. So their users, it's basically a consumer product. So they can use our product the same way that they could use Airbnb and create an account and add information about themselves. So the patients end up creating an account that they use to connect with studies. Then on the study side, we kind of think about it like layers on a cake. So the first layer is publicly available information. So we essentially scoop up all the information off of clinicaltrials.gov, former FDA approvals, drug labels, this kind of stuff in order to build what we think of as a really comprehensive patient education platform that patients can use to learn about research and trials. Then we partner with trial sites, site networks, AMCs, SMOs to get their sites activated on our platform. So in doing so, those sites tend to create a little bit more of a robust profile and tell us a little bit more about themselves. And then the last layer of the cake is we then partner with sponsors and CROs to roll out across the entirety of their program, across the entirety of the trial.
And of course, I cannot help asking how you handle issues of confidentiality and protection of sensitive personal and medical data.
Yeah, so first and foremost, our technology is HIPAA and SOC 2 compliant. So that's kind of the foundation. And then on the patient side, because we build this direct relationship with patients, patients give us the authorization to share their information with potential medical researchers that they could be a match for. So they kind of give us the authorization to then share that information directly with the research teams.
What about competition? Are there any similar platforms in the market? And of course, if there is competition, then you have to stand out somehow. So what makes your platform unique and desirable?
Of course, there's kind of competition in this space. The way I would think about it is the folks who are kind of directly competitive with us are those who are um, trying to reach patients directly and help patients navigate the world of clinical trials. So there's a handful of folks who are out there. I think the fundamental thing that's different about us is just how patient-centered we've made the product, and everything kind of falls through from there. I would say, just to make this example really, really clear, most other platforms require you to make an account, like make an account before you can start looking at clinical trials. Our view is that we should provide a little bit of value first to patients before requiring them to create an account. So what we do is we make it publicly searchable, easily and publicly accessible, and just let patients start using it right away. And then we only ask them to create an account once they want to take the next step and connect with a specific research study that makes sense for them. So that's like one small example that we think is part of this broader philosophy of putting the patient first.
Thanks for sharing that information. I feel like our audience and the patients who are watching this video, they will find it very useful. Now let's talk about you personally. From what we know, you came into the industry without any medical background. What were the main barriers for you personally and your tech startup to enter the market?
You hit the nail on the head there. We are newcomers to the medical research space. Our background is largely on the consumer internet side of the world, specifically building and scaling platforms that have helped real people navigate what I like to call traditionally opaque industries in the real world, which hopefully feels pretty similar to what's going on in the clinical trial side. On the life science side, I think that our approach is twofold here. So the first one is we've been very intentional about surrounding ourselves with the right industry experts and the right industry advisors to help us truly understand what's happening here. So, for example, Jeff Kindler, former CEO of Pfizer, is one of the folks who works very closely with us on a regular basis. And then the second one is, I think, just coming in with an attitude of humility, understanding that, hey, this is a new industry for us, and we need to learn how to be productive partners here. So, for the last year and a half, I've been on a bit of a listening and learning tour and just meeting as many folks as possible and trying to understand how they see the space and where the challenges are for them, so we can develop a product and an offering here that really fits the needs of the industry as it is.
So what does a startup, well, actually a pharmaceutical startup in particular, need to consider in order to succeed in terms of securing funding, market entry, and finding clients?
I don't think it's that different from any other startup that works with a traditional industry, like a B2B startup. I'd say what we're doing is pretty different from a biotech company. A biotech company has its own set of constraints and requirements as a startup, but on our side, we think of ourselves very much as a software marketplace internet startup that just happens to work with life science and pharma on the B2B side. So the things that really matter here, I think, are validating that there's a massive problem, validating that the market is significant enough to be, worthy of pursuit, and then proving to yourself step by step that you have a differentiated way to deliver against that massive problem, to solve that problem for your stakeholders, and just proving yourself and earning the right to kind of be there inch by inch.
Usually at the very end, we ask our guests for their thoughts on how the industry is going to look like in the next 5 years. But this time, I want to ask you, what trends and developments do you anticipate in 2023? So not too far ahead, but this year.
The trend that I'm most excited about is kind of the fundamental thesis that we're working on here, which is the empowered patient. So self-directed research for clinical trials and patients going direct, that volume has grown 22x in the last 7 years. And I'm excited to see what we're able to do and how the industry changes as we develop more and more tools to help those patients actually solve the problems that they're going and looking for. So we're already starting to see some of this behavior happening today. So for example, we have patients sharing a link to our product, like in their communities, in their Facebook groups, in their patient advocacy groups all the time, because, hey, there's a new product that actually helps patients go direct. We're seeing physicians actually refer their patients to our platform when they realize how patient-friendly it is, rather than sending their patients to clinicaltrials.gov. Again, because these physicians know that their patients are interested in going direct and doing their own research. And hey, here's a new product that helps solve that problem. So I'm personally really excited about this trend of patients helping themselves.
What do you have for Power, and what are you excited about, let's say, for the next 6 months for Power?
We actually just launched a new product. We're calling it Power for Research Sites. What this is, again, to the theme of going direct, we are now allowing any clinical research coordinator, any PI, any research nurse at a research site to create an account on Power for free and start matching with patients and connecting with patients directly on our platform. So we're thinking of this as the industry's first self-serve patient recruitment marketplace. And the things that are really important for us here are that traditionally sites overlooked, overburdened with technology. And we wanted to create an experience that was as friendly as our patient experience for the clinical research staff themselves. So we're now inviting research staff to come on, create an account, and start matching with the patients on our platform directly. We've been working on it for the last month and a half, and we already have a couple top 10 CRO site networks using it, as well as 5, 6 of the top 20 AMCs in the US. Researchers across those hospitals starting to connect with patients on our platform. So we're excited about the traction. We're excited about the feedback we're starting to get. And over the next 6 months, I'm really excited to see a lot more sites kind of take control of their own situations as well, and start meeting patients on our platform.
And finally, on a less serious closing note, so according to the recent research done by our marketing people, many pharma and biotech executives, they happen to follow Richard Branson and Bill Gates on LinkedIn, and you also happen to follow them. Do you have any idea why such a pattern could occur?
I feel like it's just the default. Like you create an account on LinkedIn and you automatically follow like 5 business leaders. That's my guess.
Okay, so there are no links to anything.
No, I doubt it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't know when when I created a LinkedIn account in 2002 or whatever it was launched, they made a suggestion of a bunch of people to follow, and I think you just showed up with an account one day with these accounts that you're following, and nobody ever goes and unfollows people on LinkedIn.
who do you follow from our industry then? How do you choose people to follow?
I mostly follow people that I've connected with directly. So I don't tend to use LinkedIn, I think, as a Twitter feed where I'll follow people for their posts. I think of it more as a social graph where I like to keep in touch with folks that I have some loose ties with, or maybe direct ties with, and just understand how's their life evolving.
So Brandon, that would be all for today. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and insights. We appreciate it endlessly, and good luck with your platform. We wish you success with it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I hope that it wasn't too rambly.
No, it was amazing. And what you're doing is amazing. And the idea behind your product is truly magnificent. So that's what matters. The humanity and the belief behind the idea.
Thanks, Anna. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. If you would like to be our next guest speaker, reach out. You can find the right email in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe.